welcome back to Unimonks. My name is 𝐌𝐀𝐇𝐀𝐁𝐇𝐀𝐁 and I'll be teaching you for the CUET history domain. Today, we start with the third unit of our syllabus, social histories using the Mahabharata. So, the first topic we're going to start is the critical edition of the Mahabharata. In 1919, V.S. Sukhthankar and his team were asked to compile the Mahabharata. Alright? Now, they collected manuscripts from all over the subcontinent, from the north, south, east, west, everywhere, and they compiled them together. Okay, it took, obviously, because so many manuscripts, different scripts, right? Not just like the language was different, correct? So, it took 47 years to compile. Okay, now two things became apparent from this compilation. Number one, while there were commonalities between the Sanskrit texts found in Nepal, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, alright, there were similarities, but there were also major regional variations, alright. Regional variations in the sense that throughout the centuries, the text has been transmitted according to the social histories of that time, or according to the social processes of that time. Okay, how the society functioned, it was based on that the text was transmitted. And obviously, regional variations are going to occur because there are different kind of people living across the subcontinent, right? Not everybody has the same mindset. Because of that, we see regional variations. Now, the 19th and 20th century scholars, they took the Sanskrit texts at their face value. So basically, they thought that whatever was written in those texts was followed to the T. Okay, that whatever was written, everybody has to follow that. Everybody must have followed that. But other texts in the Pali, Prakrit, and Tamil languages revealed otherwise. They revealed that the Sanskrit text was seen as authoritative, and on occasion they were questioned and even rejected. Alright, some of the ideas that were in the text were rejected by a lot of the people. Alright. Now, kinship and marriage. We use the Mahabharata to understand the history, the social histories of the time. By social histories, I mean the concept of kinship. Okay, the concept of marriage, the concept of marriage, obviously, right? Gender disparity, social disparities, okay? All of that is going to be understood in this chapter using the Mahabharata as a reference text, alright? Now, this text, the Mahabharata, will helps us investigate and analyze the attitudes towards family and kinship, alright? That is what we're going to be concentrating on in this class, family and kinship, how that was seen, how that was sort of performed, alright, between how people saw the relationship of families, of kinship, alright, at the time. Okay, now the idea of patriliny. Before we get into this, let me give you a basic story of what the Mahabharata was. Okay, so the Mahabharata was fought between two groups of cousins, the Kurus, not the Kurus, the Kauravas and the Pandavas, okay? Pandavas. Now, these two groups of cousins belong to the same dynasty, belong to the same kingdom of the Kurus, okay? The war was fought, they fought for power and for access to resources, okay? The usual reasons for fighting a war. Now, the war was fought, obviously, the Pandavas won. You remember this if you have read the Mahabharata. If you haven't, get a basic gist of it. Try to look up videos. Try to get a basic gist of the Mahabharata, okay? Now, the Pandavas won, and the idea of patriliny was proclaimed. Now, what do I mean by patriliny? Patriliny means when the father dies, the son of the family takes over whatever resources, whatever power that the father has left. Especially in ruling families, the son takes over the throne, the subjects, the kingdom, okay? Now, most ruling families followed this concept, but some did not have sons. So now what happened in those families? Quite simple, because patrilineal as a concept, it doesn't just refer to sons taking over. Basically, a male kin of the man that has passed away takes over, okay? So either the brother of the ruler or a male kin, okay, some other cousin, an uncle, anybody, okay, takes over the throne. Now, rarely we see women exercising power, okay? For example, Prabhavati Gupta. Prabhavati Gupta was the daughter, we've talked about her before as well. Prabhavati Gupta was the daughter of Chandragupta. She was married into the 𝐌𝐀𝐇𝐀𝐁𝐇𝐀𝐁 kingdom, right? Because she was an upper class woman, she had access to resources, she was able to exercise some sort of power, okay? Some little form of power over her subjects. Now, rules of marriage. Obviously, sons were viewed very differently, daughters were viewed very differently to the sons, okay? The daughters essentially had no say in family matters, okay? They had no claim over the resources of the family, okay? And when they came of age, they were supposed to marry the right person at the right time, okay? And marriage was, while someone was getting married, the idea of exogamy was desired. Now, before I move further into the chapter, let's understand the meaning of a couple of words. Exogamy, for example, means marrying within the clan, alright? The exact opposite of exogamy is endogamy, alright? Endogamy means marrying outside of the clan, okay? Then we see another word coming up, which is polyandry, okay? Polyandry is when one man has multiple wives. And polygyny, on the other hand, polygyny, I'll write it here, is a concept where one woman has multiple husbands, alright? Okay, so with the emergence of new towns, obviously, right? The Kuru kingdom is just coming up, right? New towns, new kingdoms are coming up, new states are being established. Because of that, the social life of these towns becomes very complex, correct? Why? Because people from various backgrounds are coming together and living in one society, right? So, the Brahmans took upon themselves to lay down some sort of rules of social conduct, okay? They were supposed to be followed by the Brahmins particularly and the society in general, okay? That is why we see in circa 500 BCE, the Dharma Sutras and the Dharma Shastras being written, alright? Similar to this, the Manusmriti is also compiled, okay? Which also has rules of social conduct. It has other things as well, but the Manusmriti is very similar. It is a very, very important book of the Hindu tradition. It was compiled between circa 200 BCE to 200 CE. Alright, remember these dates. But, as I talked about previously, because of regional variations, the Sanskrit texts were seen as pretty authoritative, right? Now, the Dharma Shastras and the Dharma Sutras are Sanskrit texts. So, were they universally accepted? Not really. Because different regions have different social processes, they have different traditions, right? Suddenly these rules come in and everybody is expected to follow them. It is quite difficult to change your way of life, correct? Right? One day you can't just wake up and suddenly be like, okay, I don't feel like following my old traditions, let's just switch over, let's try something new. It's not that easy. That is why they weren't seen, the Brahmins their power was not all pervasive, okay? Not all pervasive, in the sense that not everybody accepted them as authority figures, essentially, alright? Okay. Now, the Gotra of a woman, the concept of Gotra comes up in circa 1000 BCE. Okay, each Gotra is named after a Vedic seed, and the people, the followers, the people who belonged to this Gotra were seen as descendants of this seed. Okay, descendants of this Vedic seed. Now, two rules also come up with the concept of Gotra. Number one, women had to give up their father's Gotra and adopt their husbands after marriage. Okay? And number two, members of the same Gotra could not marry each other. Obviously, because they considered descendants of the same person. Correct? You're coming from the same, essentially, or technically, you're coming from the same lineage. Right? Now, let's take up the example of the Satavahanas. We talked about them previously as well in the chapters about the Mahajanpads. They ruled over Western India and Deccan India. Okay? Now, the Satavahanas, when I told you that there were regional variations, another reason for this regional variations was rulers, they took up whatever rules they took up because it was convenient for them to follow. Alright? It was a lot of it dependent on the convenience of the person. Okay, that it was convenient for them to follow these rules, and therefore they took up these rules. Okay, so let's take the Satavahanas as an example and try to understand this. Okay, now the rulers were polygynous. Okay. Oh, sorry. I think I explained the polygyny, polyandry wrong. Polygyny, I'll do it again if I did it wrong, I'm sorry. Polygyny is when one man has multiple wives, okay? Multi-wives, okay? And polyandry is when one woman has multi-husbands, okay? Now, the rulers were polygynous. That means they had multiple wives, okay? Now, the concept of polygyny is extremely debated. Some Brahmins, they took it in stride. It didn't matter to them, okay? They didn't care if the people were polygynous or not. But some were against it, right? They did not believe in the concept of polygyny. They believed in monogamy, okay? That a man should only have one wife. So this is a heavily debated topic, okay? The next scenario is that their wives retained their father's Gotra, okay? They did not adopt their husbands after marriage. They practiced endogamy, right? Because they were polygynous, because they had multiple wives, some of their wives belonged to the same Gotra as them, okay? Or the same clan as them, sorry. Now, the rulers were identified through metronymics. Now, you are going to tell me what metronymics means, alright? Tell me in the comments down below. Pause this video, comment right now what metronymics is, okay? Help fellow students, help them understand, alright? And lastly, their succession was patrilineal, okay? So we see that they've taken up some concepts from the Dharma Sutras, from the Dharma Shastras, while some of them they've ignored, okay? For example, endogamy as a practice was frowned upon, but they still practiced it, right? Polygyny was mostly frowned upon, but they still practiced it. The women retained their father's Gotra, alright? They did not take up their husband's Gotra. And finally, the succession was patrilineal because it was convenient for them. It was convenient for them to give their kingdom to their sons instead of dividing it between sons and daughters, okay? Yeah, it's that. Alright, that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions, if you want to talk about something, give a fun fact, leave it in the comments down below. And for more such informational content, subscribe to Unimonks. Thank you for watching. Bye.